Welcome to Legislative Report. I'm Mindy Fee from the 37th District, and I thank you for joining us today at the 99th Annual Pennsylvania Farm Show in Harrisburg. You know, the Farm Show is the largest indoor ag arena in the nation, and there's 24 acres under roof here. There's over 6,000 animals that participate, and we're going to get to meet some of those today. And there's 13,000 exhibits that happen here at the Farm Show. So come on aboard and we'll go see what the Farm Show has to offer. We're here today with Jared and Jenna Wetzel and Kelsey Bollinger from Mannheim. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. And we have your cow with us, correct? And what's her name?
Sour apple.
Sour Apple, very cute. So tell me, we're at the Pennsylvania Farm Show, and this is obviously her first year, I'm guessing?
This is her second?
No, this is her first farm show.
Yeah, her first farm show.
So how old is she?
About a year old.
She was born in March, so she'll turn a year old in March.
Okay, so tell me something. Out of all your cows, why was she chosen to come to the farm show?
Well, because she was one of our better ones, and she's been to our shows all year, and she's done the best for us out of all our show cattle.
And what makes her a better one?
She's just more made correct, like
Her
the judges,
genetics.
her genetics. The judge likes them.
Okay. All right, so you all went through Mannheim Central. Kelsey, you're 23, correct? And you participated in FFA? Yep. And you are?
12, and I'm in 4-H.
You're in 4-H?
I am 19, and I was in FFA. Well, I still am in FFA, and I was in 4-H.
All right, so tell me what your favorite part about FFA is.
Just meeting new people. You get to meet new people all the time when you're in FFA, and you get to do activities you like. It's just, it gets you out of your box. Like, I know people that used to be shy, and you meet new people, and it just changes you.
That's great. Do you want to go into the farming industry and raising animals?
Yeah, I would like to do that. I'm planning on going to college here next year and majoring in maybe a dairy science and maybe minoring in large animal science. And if it's maybe something in the dairy field, it's maybe another livestock field or another farming industry thing I would want to do.
Oh, that's fantastic. Kelsey, tell us a little bit about yourself. No, I'm going to come around this way.
I graduated from Bloomsburg University. I'm currently an RN, but I'm also working full-time on my family's dairy farm in Mannheim. And that's the one thing about the agriculture field that's amazing is the fact that you can literally do anything that you want to. And it's very rewarding because it is hard work, but at the end of the day, you get to look back and see what you have accomplished. And I don't know, it's just fun.
Great, that's great. And you, sweetie, you're in 6th grade.
Yes.
And tell me what the hardest part is about raising an animal.
Well, you have to go with them. Every day you have to go over there and feed them and water them. And during the winter, you have to unbreak their water because it's frozen. And you have to walk them each and every day so that they get used to the hotter and they don't get untrained.
So you're up early in the morning before school and out doing that, or after school?
I usually go after school.
Okay.
I do the morning chores. I get up in the morning. I'm on the morning duty.
So we're at the farm show and you're going to show her here, right? Is there any particular competition she's in?
Well, I'll show in the junior show for youth. And will I show in the open show?
Yeah.
I'll show also in the open show.
In the open show. And earlier this week you had other animals here, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I had a market lamb. And yeah.
So you raised the lamb to a certain age. How old was the lamb?
He had to be a year old.
Okay.
February. He was born in February. The lambs were born in February.
So you raise them and then you sell them off, right?
Yes.
And is that tough?
Yeah.
And have you done that in the past?
Yeah. This is my 6th or 7th time showing up here at the farm show.
And Kelsey, you've been showing up here for years?
I think this is the 5th year I've been coming here. College kind of threw that off, but
That can change things a little bit. So what's your favorite part about the farm show?
just getting to see all my friends. It's amazing. Like, we don't live near each other, so farm show is pretty much the only time of year you see each other, and it's always a great time, and you always make memories. And I hope one day my kids get to come here.
Oh, that's great. Do you have any great success story from being at the farm show, from showing all those years?
Yes, we had last year with my market lamb. I won my class, which is really, really hard up here to win your class with their market animals. And my cow over there, well, my other cow, she was reserve grand at the youth show here 2 years ago. That's really hard to do.
Is it? Yeah, that's good. When you are competing, do you compete locally and then come to this level? This is like the top of it, right, in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, this is pretty much the top of it in Pennsylvania. You start, well, anybody that has dairy cattle that can show here. But yeah, you start out with local fairs and see how your cow's doing. If they're still doing good, you can bring them here to farm show and see how they do.
And All-American.
You mentioned the All-American show. Sure, I've been up to that one too. That's a great show here at the farm show.
Yeah.
Have you ever spent the night here in the building?
Yes, we've done that in the past.
But you're a seasoned veteran. You now go to the hotel, right?
Yes, I go to the hotel for the people that I'm working for here. They got me a hotel room so I can stay and so I get a good rest for them.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you all. We love Mannheim, and we're very happy to have you all here at the farm show. Do well, sweetie. Good luck.
Thank you.
All righty.
Did you know that the Pennsylvania Farm Show's history goes all the way back to 1851? Originally organized as a state fair by the Pennsylvania Agricultural Society, it was discontinued in 1899. It wasn't until 1916 that Charles Patton, the Pennsylvania Secretary of Agriculture, worked with others to develop a new agricultural fair which debuted in January 1917. It was in 1925 that the roots were laid for the farm show that we know today. The show had grown so large that 40,000 attendees were traveling to various sites all around Harrisburg. During this year, the Pennsylvania State Department of Agriculture took control of the event, and the legislature had decided to appropriate money that gave birth to the farm show complex. Finally, in 1931, the main exhibition building opened and welcomed 150,000 visitors to the show that year. Over the years, the farm show has continued to grow. Various events showcasing animals, products, and skills were added to the event. The farm show complex has also continued to grow, with more buildings and arenas being added over the years. The count stands at 24 acres inside 11 buildings and 3 arenas. Today, the show hosts approximately 6,000 animals, 10,000 competitive exhibits, and 300 commercial exhibits, along with over 500,000 visitors. Since the doors to the main exhibition building opened, the farm show has become the world's biggest indoor agricultural event. Now you know.
When Senator Wall passed away, the foundation came to me and asked if I would help gather up some legislators, and of course, that was the contact back and forth to get the legislators to participate. And I think you saw tonight that we had a good participation of legislators from all over the state. So we're very thankful for that.
I have never driven draft horses before, but I'll tell you, it wasn't so bad. It was nice having somebody sit beside me up there, but it's a lot of fun, and it's for a great cause. They raise money for the Friends of Pennsylvania Farm Show, which raises money for scholarships, for educations for kids in the ag field. So it's a great reason to get up on that draft horse. As strong and as powerful as those horses were, the second you turn them a little bit, they certainly move very quickly for you. So it was fun. I didn't come in first place, but it was a great event. I was actually sponsored by Craters Farms in Mannheim, which is not only a friend of our community in Mannheim, but a friend of the ag business, of course. They're a third-generation farming community, so I want to thank Craters for sponsoring and being part of it.
Did you know that nearly 1,100 pounds of butter was used to make the butter sculpture for the 99th Pennsylvania Farm Show? This year's sculpture, the 25th year a butter sculpture has been displayed at the event, showcases a fundraising campaign for a first-of-its-kind food bank milk program. It was launched in Pennsylvania last year by the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, along with the Mid-Atlantic Dairy Association and the Pennsylvania Dairy Promotion Program. The sculpture portrays a food bank worker pouring milk into a glass held by a boy with his mother. Watching on is a dairy farmer and his cow, who are standing next to a case filled with milk. The words, "Fill a glass with hope," is carved above. The sculpture was once again created by Jim Victor and Marie Pelton and took 10 days of work in the refrigerated case to turn the slabs of butter into a work of art. At the end of the farm show, the butter from the sculpture, which was donated by Land O'Lakes, will be given to a dairy farm in Juniata County. There, the butter will be converted to about 65 kilowatt hours of electricity to help power the farm and homes in the area. Now you know.
Hi, we're here with Laura Dangler, who has a sugar house up in Northwest Pennsylvania called How Sweet It Is. Hi, Laura, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. How long have you been in business? Maple syrup business.
I've been making syrup for about 38 years. I was actually born and raised on a farm, but my parents actually did not make syrup on the farm. I actually married into a family that made maple syrup, and about 12 years now, my husband and I separated, and he ended up with our other sugaring business. And I just had a love and a passion for making maple syrup, and it's something that you really got to love to do. I call it a labor of love.
Yeah, it is a labor of love once we hear about the whole technique of getting the maple syrup. So
exactly. So once we had separated, I went off running. I went and bought 50 buckets on my own, and I hauled my sap to a neighbor that was boiling. Ended up meeting a wonderful man, and we built our own sugar house then and bought an evaporator, and right now we're up to about 1,100 taps in our operation.
Oh, fantastic. And they have been collecting maple syrup since the day of the Native American Indians, correct?
That is correct. I mean, it's amazing how throughout the years, how things have changed through the process of making maple syrup.
And you can show us that a little bit right here. If we can kind of walk through that, that'd be great.
Certainly. The Native Americans collected sap in birch bark baskets. They would take they didn't have tomahawks actually back in that era, but they would take a sharp stone and make a gouge into the tree, and then they would use like a concave piece of wood or a reed and would have the sap flow down into their birch bark baskets. And so that's how it all started. One of my favorite stories is that there was Chief Watkis. He was returning from a hunting trip one night, and he threw his tomahawk into the tree. That morning when he went to go hunting, he pulled the tomahawk out, and it happened to be ideal temperatures. You have to have freezing at night and thawing during the day, warming during the day to have the sap flow.
That was my next question. How do you harvest? I mean, can you harvest anytime, but it's all due to weather? Because what I envision is, your hats, your mittens, and your gloves on as they're out tapping the trees. So obviously it's in the winter months.
Yeah, well, it's in the springtime. Usually in the state of Pennsylvania, we usually start tapping right around mid-February to the first part of March. And our season usually lasts anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Usually sometimes lasts to the first week in April, just depending on Mother Nature.
Okay.
But you got to have the fluctuation of the temperatures to have the sap flow. It's got
Cold
to
at night
and warm
warm
up
in
during
the
the
day.
day. 38, 40 is ideal temperatures.
Okay. All right, take me to the next step then. So from the Native American Indians, we went to
the settlers, and the Native Americans taught the settlers how to make maple syrup, and they brought a new technology to the industry where they had the wooden buckets and the wooden spows.
Very
and
nice.
Instead of gouging the tree, they would use an auger to put a hole into the tree and have the sap flow into their wooden buckets.
Okay. And from the colonists, then we moved to the
Civil War era, and that's when the tin was, the American foundries started producing tin, and they produced the tin can, and then they went to the metal bucket then and metal spows, which you can see the collection of different metal spows from different manufacturers throughout the years.
that we have here.
Yeah.
But today we do it a little different. So
We do it a little bit differently. Today you'll still see the traditional metal buckets hanging on some of the trees, but a lot of the producers nowadays are using a plastic bag. This is one of the first plastic bags that they've started with. Now you'll see blue bags hanging alongside the trees.
is that a little bit more sterile?
It is. The bags are thrown away every year, and they are, new bags used every year. But, even with the metal containers, they are washed and sanitized before you use them every year also.
Okay. And from there, I remember seeing a picture where you see all the different lines then coming down out of the trees into one line that goes into a container, correct?
Exactly. A lot of the bigger producers nowadays are using what's called a tubing system, which is a network of tubes going from tree to tree. It comes down to a main line, and some of the producers even actually have it come right to their sugar house. I've never been blessed.
I was going to say, that's a nice way to do it.
It's a nice way to do it. I always say maybe someday in heaven I'll have a sugar house that the sap will all come to me. But we haul all of our sap back to my sugar house.
How much sap does it take to make 1 gallon of maple sugar?
Well,
Maple
it
syrup.
really varies depending on the sugar content of the sap. But usually, rule of thumb is it usually takes about 43 gallons to make a gallon of pure maple syrup.
So a lot of sap.
It is.
And tell me something, must the trees be of a certain age, or do some trees produce more or less?
Most certainly. Usually a tree has to be anywhere from 10 to 12 inches in diameter before you should tap it. And at that time, it should only have 1 tap in it. A lot of times I tell people I'm a tree hugger, and I really do hug my trees, and I do love my trees. That's one of the reasons why I hug them.
That's good.
But the other reason is that I try to see how many taps actually go into that tree. If I hug my tree and my hands touch each other, it only gets 1 tap. But as it grows and my hands don't touch, I put 2 taps in it. But the larger the tree, the more taps you can put in it. Usually the equation of going to 2 taps is at least over a 20-inch diameter tree.
And can you tap every year?
Yes.
Same tree?
You can tap the same tree every year, but you don't use the same tap hole every year. Usually if you find a hole in the tree, but back in 1999, the maple syrup industry introduced it's called a slim spout. And instead of drilling a 7/16 hole in a tree, we're drilling a 5/16 hole in.
Okay.
It's a lot healthier for the tree. And on a healthy tree, after a year's time, it will completely heal over. You can't even hardly tell where you tapped.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Tell me something. If I have a sugar maple in my backyard, can I tap it and actually get?
Most certainly. I do a lot of backyard sugaring classes up my way, just to even make a gallon in your own backyard. Usually one tree or one tap in a good season, you can get about a quart of maple syrup out of that tree once you boil the sap down into that tree.
And boiling, do you use a wood fire stove?
I do. But there's other ways of doing it in your own backyard. You can use a turkey cooker. You can put cinder blocks with a rack over the top and put a fire underneath it to concentrate the sap. My personal evaporator is a 3x8 wood-fired evaporator, and we fire every 10 minutes. We actually have a timer that we set the timer, and then refire every 10 minutes. And why we do that is because it keeps a constant heat in there all the time.
Yeah, because when the sap first comes out, it's mainly water, correct?
Yes.
I mean, it has a high content of water, and what you're trying to do is get the higher content of sugar.
Exactly. The water percentage is like 98% water to 2% sugar, and when you have the finished product, you have 33% water and 66%
That's why it's so good.
sugar then.
I was going to say that's why it's yummy.
Exactly.
So how's Pennsylvania compared to the rest of the states on producing maple syrup?
Last year, we had a cold season last year. Our season was late in production, but still the state of Pennsylvania was the only state that actually held their production. We did not go down into production. And for the last 2 years, the state of Pennsylvania has been 5th in the United States. And both years we've produced about 146,000 gallons of syrup.
Well, I keep eating it, but I thank you, Laura, for letting us know everything we need to know about maple sugar. Maple syrup is great.
I can tell you about, maybe if we have a little bit more time here, about some of the other products that are made with pure maple syrup, and there's no artificial flavorings or colorings.
Perfect.
There's a maple cream, which is just nothing but pure maple syrup, cooked to 232 degrees, cooled very, very quickly, and then stirred, and it's like a consistency of peanut butter. It's really good on English muffins, bagels, your toast. We also have maple sugar, which is a granulated sugar. I use very, very little white sugar in my household. I replace all the white sugar with pure maple sugar, and it's made with just pure maple syrup, cooked to 255 degrees, and then stirred until it granulates, and then I sifted to sift out the lumps in it.
That sounds delicious.
So it's all natural, no artificial flavorings or colorings. And then we have our famous maple candies here too, with the different designs, and this is just another product from pure maple syrup.
Do you make these yourself?
Yeah, all these were made by me here.
These are my son's favorite.
Are they? Well, that's great. And that's just made with pure maple syrup, cooked at 240 degrees. They're all made by different temperatures.
Oh, okay.
But you can make these at home just with a quart of maple syrup.
I need to plant a sugar maple tree in my backyard.
Most certainly. And you can make a little bit in your own backyard.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for joining us again. I appreciate learning all that we need to know about maple syrup. And we will be back in a few minutes. I would like to thank you for joining me for the legislative report. I appreciate you taking time to tune in and see what's happening at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. If you have any questions in the district, you can always reach out to me. I'm in the Denver office in the municipal building or in Mannheim on the square, and you can always follow us on Facebook or check out our webpage. So have a great time, and I look forward to meeting with you next time.